2016, when the Ford Territory died, Ford was left with a gaping hole in its medium SUV lineup. Tried to fill that gap with the Everest, but that thing's an off-roader and it just doesn't have the same on-road appeal. Well, now there's this. It's the Endura. It's known as the Edge in other markets, and it is another North American import. Well, Ford is hoping this thing, with its more on-road focused appeal, is going to find favour with Australian car buyers. And in this review, we're going to tell you what it's like to drive, what the interior is like, how much it costs, and whether you should have it on your shopping list. There are three flavours of Endura. There's the entry trend, the ST line, and this one here that we're testing, the top spec titanium. Tips the scales at about $64,000 plus on-road costs. It's worth starting around here at the back of the Endura because this is the area that separates this car from its competitors. See, beneath me, there is no third row of seats. This thing's a 5-seater only, whereas its competitors are all 7-seaters. That said, I guess you do get a massive boot. There's 800 litres of storage space here with the second row in use. You can drop down that second row. There's 60-40 split fold seats with these two little buttons here on the side. There's a 12-volt outlet. There's hooks around the side. There are also little tie-down points here on the floor, which is the right place for them to be. As you can see, there's plenty of room in the back of the Endura. I'm 6 feet tall. I've set the front seat up to suit myself, and I've got plenty of leg room. And although the sunroof does eat into headroom here in the back, it's not too bad. You can see I'm not touching the roof at all. There's a relatively flat floor through the middle here too, so all three seating positions will take an adult. There are air vents here, keeping everyone nice and cool. They're not climate controlled at all though. You do have heating though for the outboard seats, and they can be individually controlled. There are also power outlets down there at the base, and pockets on the backs of the seats. Now, you might also be able to notice our tester has these seat back screens. This is a cost option. It's about $1,600. And you can stream content off there via an app or DVD or USB, whatever you want. They're pretty handy. My kids have been using them this week and they love them. If you've owned a Ford built in the last 10 years or so, then the interior of this Endura is going to feel pretty familiar to you. In fact, this sort of center stack area kind of reminds me of the Territory. The steering wheel has that typical Ford thing of feeling like it has maybe one or two too many buttons on it. But everything is clearly labelled, and it's all pretty easy to use when you're up and running. And it's the same with the centre stack. The buttons are all clearly labelled and they're relatively easy to use when you're up and running, but they are quite small, so if you've got fat fingers like me, then they might feel a little fiddly. There is acres of storage space in the front of this car. You've got the big glove box, you've got door bins with bottle holders in them. You've also got this big deep sort of pouch here which you could stash your phone in, but it's so deep your phone would get lost, or your keys or your wallet. It's got two USB outlets as well in the base there. And then you've got these two cup holders here in the middle. Well, this one on the right hand side is so deep that I can just about lose my arm in it. It's clearly for US sized drinks. Luckily the one next to it has a false floor, so you can fit a normal sized drink in there. And this center console bin here is so deep I literally can lose my arm in it. It's over 35 centimeters deep there. There's a 12-volt outlet and a light in the bottom because it's so deep. Titanium gets a leather interior, and these front seats are really comfortable. They're nicely bolstered in the seat base and in the sides, and the seat base is nice and long too. So if you've got longer legs like me, there's really good under-thigh support, and that's something you're going to notice if you're on a longer drive. Power adjustment, forwards and backwards, the seat back as well, and even the lumbar adjust. The steering wheel is power adjust too, but in typical Ford fashion, it doesn't have a huge range of movement. There's good vision out of the car generally. These A-pillars are quite large, so you do sort of notice yourself looking around them when you're coming up to a zebra crossing or even at a T intersection. There's only one engine available in the Endura. It's a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel. It makes 140 kilowatts and 400 newton meters of torque. There's only one transmission too. It's an 8-speed automatic. Ford reckons it'll get about 6.7 litres per 100 kilometres. In our testing, however, we're getting around 7.3 litres per 100 k's, which is nothing to complain about. So, what's the Endura like to drive? Well, like a lot of you guys, I was thinking, 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel. It's a big car. It's probably going to be a little bit asthmatic. But that's not the case at all. I mean, there's 400 Newton meters of torque from 2000 RPM, and the 8-speed automatic transmission, which is a really slick shifter, does a fantastic job of keeping this engine in its comfort zone. On the road, the Endura is nice and comfortable. It's certainly able to smother the worst of the road's lumps and bumps with ease. But I should make mention that at low speed, and I'm talking at speeds at say up to 60 k's an hour, can be a little bit lumpy and thumpy. But that sportier tune is no bad thing. It means that the Endura doesn't mind being rushed through corners, making it one of the better riding and handling cars in this segment. So the Endura is available as either a front-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive. Our tester today is a front-wheel drive variant, and I've got to say grip is pretty impressive. But the Endura doesn't have a lot of ground clearance, and it doesn't have a lot of wheel travel either. So this thing's best suited, whether you've got a front-wheel drive or an all-wheel drive variant, best suited to bitumen or well-graded dirt roads. If you need to go off-road, well, get yourself an Everest. Alright, so people might initially balk at the fact that this thing isn't a 7-seater. But how many people with this size SUV with 7 seats regularly use them? Not many, I'm going to guess. So, judged on its merits, the Ford Endura is a comfortable, roomy, well-specced medium SUV. And if you want to read our full review, make sure you check out practicalmotoring.com.au.